I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, Israel sends major help to Mexico in the wake of a devastating earthquake. Iran puts its ballistic missiles to the test again. And get ready, because Israeli superstar Gal Gadot is about to grace one of Hollywood's most famous stages. Stay tuned for the latest news in Israel. Mexico is thanking Israel for the Jewish state's extensive help in the aftermath of a devastating series of earthquakes that have hit the country. Dozens of Israeli rescuers are taking part in the search for survivors in the rubble as part of one of the biggest contingencies working in Mexico.
קודם כל צריך להבין, המידע שיש לנו הוא מידע של אנשים שהיו בתוך דירות מסוימות. לאן הם הגיעו במהלך הרעידת אדמה, לאן הם ברחו, איפה הם נמצאים בדיוק, אנחנו לא יכולים לדעת עד שאנחנו לא מוצאים אותם. יש לנו מידע, אנחנו מחפשים. עד מתי נמשיך? כמה שיתנו לנו, או כמה שאנחנו נוכל.
Over 300 people have been killed following Tuesday's quake, which leveled 52 different buildings in the capital of Mexico. The 7.1 magnitude earthquake was just the first last week. However, two more quakes rattled southern Mexico just yesterday. Hundreds have been left homeless because of the devastation, as others search desperately for their loved ones.
Está mi hermana allá adentro, no nos han dicho nada, no nos han informado, siempre salen con lo mismo, paciencia, paciencia, ¿hasta cuánto? ¿Cuánto tiempo más? ¿Cuánto tiempo nada? Tenemos que tener paciencia.
Israel is one of the first countries to send aid to Mexico. On Thursday, a 71-member delegation from the Israeli Army's Home Front Command arrived in the Latin American country. The Israeli aid organizations IsraAid and iAid have also sent delegations to help, and they're all being greeted with relief and love.
Israel was very quick. We are extremely thankful to President Netanyahu for his quick response. The Israeli crews are already working in Mexico City, and these are expert crews.
The last time Mexico faced such a deadly earthquake was back in 1985, when a deadly tremor killed 5,000 people. Israel is often one of the first countries to send humanitarian delegations to countries hit by natural disasters, and will be working side by side with other rescue teams from the United States, Japan, and Spain in the aftermath of the latest damage in Mexico.
We are here in order to help the Mexican people. We have a rescue team. We have engineers that are helping the government to bring back life to normal, and obviously, and most importantly, to try and help and rescue people. And we are really, really hoping that we'll be able to assist in any way we can. So be strong, Mexico, and Israel is always here for you.
The Islamic State has launched yet another ballistic missile test, and it's causing major outrage in the United States and Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman slammed Iran's decision to test a new ballistic missile that could reach Israel on Saturday, calling it a provocation to the entire free world and a slap in the face to the United States. President Donald Trump has also condemned the action by tweeting, "Iran just test-fired ballistic missiles capable of reaching Israel. They're also working with North Korea. Not much of an agreement we have." The missile, known as the Khorramshahr, has a range of 1,250 miles and is capable of carrying multiple warheads. The launch of the ballistic missiles comes at a very sensitive time, just days after the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani warned that Iran would not be afraid to test new military weapons despite U.S. criticism. In the past, Iranian missile launches have generated accusations that Iran is not holding true to the 2015 nuclear deal. But Iran claims the test is fair game, since the missiles are not designed to carry a nuclear warhead. On October 15th, President Trump is expected to tell the United States Congress whether he believes Iran is honoring the rules of the 2015 deal. If President Trump decides Iran is not abiding by the rules, the U.S. could renew sanctions or even cancel the agreement altogether. Trump claims he has actually already made his decision, but he's not ready to share it. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just recently returned from New York, where he met with U.S. President Donald Trump ahead of their speeches at the UN General Assembly. The two discussed stability in the Middle East, as well as the potential for a two-state solution in the near future. But here to help us analyze their discussion just a little bit further is Dr. Chuck Freilich, a senior fellow at the Harvard Belfer Center and the former deputy national security advisor in Israel. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So I think the main topic of concern we can say was, or it's fair to say, during the United Nations for Prime Minister Netanyahu was Iran. Now, do you believe that Netanyahu's harsh criticism of the Iranian nuclear accord is actually going to have an impact on, Donald Trump's decision as to whether or not he wants to amend the agreement or just throw it away altogether?
Well, I don't know that it will have a strong effect, but it may have some. I think both the Prime Minister and the President in this case have a rather similar approach towards the issue. And the President, I think, would like to scrap the deal if he could, but I think he's rapidly finding out that that's not a feasible approach. And the question is how it can be amended, if at all. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I have to say that I'm a strong supporter of the deal. Okay. And I was from day one. I think it is, of the bad options that we faced at the time, and that we face today, it is by far the best of them. And it's actually a reasonably good deal in its own right. You have to ask, it's not a question of the world that we would like to live in, it's the question of the world that we do live in. And given the options, what can we do if we don't have the deal? Do we want to go the military route? I don't think the U.S. is going to do it.
We just saw this ballistic, missile test that Iran just carried out on Saturday over the weekend. What does that say in terms of whether or not Iran is even going to comply with this deal?
Well, the deal
or is complying with this deal to better.
The deal did not apply to the missile issue or to Iran's various misdeeds in the region. The deal, I believe, very wisely focused on one thing and one thing only, and that was the nuclear issue. From Israel's point of view, that's the only existential issue. It so outweighs everything else that that decision to separate the different issues was a very, I believe, a good one. Now the question is, A, how do we make sure that Iran really observes the deal?
Well, because
and
they
how do we make sure that there's no end to the deal at the end to the 10 to 15-year period?
Right, so they say these missiles are not capable of carrying nuclear warheads, but what do we know about that? Is that true?
Well, from Israel's point of view, the truth is it almost doesn't matter because the shorter range missiles that they already have are capable of carrying a nuclear warhead in any event. These newer missiles are a threat to Europe. That's where the change is. And maybe it's a larger warhead that could hit Israel. But if they can hit us with a nuke, we're already in bad shape from that point of view.
Right. So going back to, the idea of amending this deal or throwing it away, Trump said that he already came to a decision, but he is not ready to yet release that decision. In your opinion, what is that decision? And does Netanyahu know what that decision is? Did they discuss that while they were at the UN General Assembly?
I would imagine that the president, as I said, has come to the conclusion the deal cannot be scrapped. It can't even really be amended. What can be done is that we can try and add on an additional agreement so that when this one expires at the end of the 10 to 15-year period, now 8 to 13, that there's a new agreement which says, no, Iran can never go nuclear.
Do you think there's going to be something changed in regards to the type of missiles that are being tested? Can there be, like you said, it was nuclear focused, but...
It's got nothing to do with this agreement. Now, the question that you're asking...
Right, well, is there going to be an amendment to change that?
Right. Can there be now a change which will add the missile issue to the agreement? Look, I don't think the Iranians are going to agree to open up the deal. Why should they from their point of view? They signed an agreement, a binding agreement 2 years ago. The International Atomic Energy Agency says that they're observing it. American intelligence, let alone Israeli, says that they're observing it. Why should they agree to open a deal? So I tend to think that the answer to that is no. On the other hand, maybe what can be done is that more pressure can be brought to bear on Iran to cut back the missile testing program.
In regards to sanctions.
Maybe there can even be an additional agreement, but I don't think it's opening up the old one.
Well, if we had more time, we would get into, the role Israel is going to play in whatever amendments are actually made to this agreement. But I guess we're just going to have to wait until next time, so you'll have to come back soon. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Chuck Freilich. All right, Hamas seems to be very serious about relinquishing control of the Gaza Strip to the Palestinian Authority's Fatah party, but is now calling on the Palestinian president to end his sanctions on the impoverished Gaza Strip.
وبننتظر أيضا الخطوة من عند إخواننا في رام الله، ليس انتظار من قايض على ذلك، ولكن انتظار من يريد أن يتحرك بخطوط متوازية متقاربة من أجل إعطاء رسالة لشعبنا الفلسطيني، وأقول بل أبعد من ذلك إحياء الأمل في نفوس أبناء شعبنا الفلسطيني في مصالحة وطنية واستعادة الوحدة الوطنية. وهذا كان أحد القضايا اللي أنا أشرت إلها في اتصالي بالأمس، واللي أنا بادرت به للاتصال بالسيد الرئيس أبو مازن وهو موجود في نيويورك في اجتماعات الجمعية العمومية. وأشرت يعني بالمنطق الأخوي وبالمنطق الوطني. إحنا كحماس يعني نحن أخذنا الخطوات، أخذناها بكل إرادة وبكل وعي وبكل مصداقية بحل اللجنة الإدارية، وإحنا بالتأكيد شعبنا اليوم بيتوقع كمان يا أخ أبو مازن من جانبكم وقف الإجراءات وإلغاء الإجراءات ونبدأ خطوات ونمشي حوار وإلى آخره في هذا الموضوع.
The head of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, is stressing that Hamas is ready to give full control to the Palestinian Authority, but that it must be done in practical steps. The move comes after a senior delegation of Hamas traveled to Egypt to discuss ways to reconcile the two Palestinian factions. As a reminder, Hamas seized control over the Gaza Strip in 2007 after a short but bloody civil war against Fatah officials and supporters. Since then, relations between the two factions have been severely strained, and every attempt at a reconciliation has failed. The two Palestinian movements continue to disagree on how to deal with Israel. President Abbas's Palestinian Authority has declared support for a two-state solution, while Hamas continues to call for the destruction of Israel. We will keep you posted on this developing story. Now, here's some unlikely news coming from the Arab Gulf. The Kingdom of Bahrain has now publicly announced that they're possibly going to normalize ties with Israel as early as next year. ILTV's Aaron Porras has the story.
Though nobody expects a diplomatic mission to be set up in Bahrain anytime soon, ministers of trade and economic affairs will likely begin high-level talks. Though Bahrain, a majority Shiite Muslim country, has long supported anti-Israel ideologies, apparently mosques in the kingdom have already been instructed to stop anti-Israel rhetoric immediately. An unnamed official speaking with the Middle East Eye news agency said that Bahrain has started to understand the common enemy is Iran and is willing to work towards peace with Israel to fight Iran off. The official further explained that, quote, Israel does not threaten our security or conspire on us, but Iran certainly does, end quote. In fact, Bahrain is terrified of what Iran might do as hostilities rise. Iran has been long accused of setting up and supporting terror cells in the Gulf nation, and this is just the latest example of a slowly strengthening relationship between Bahrain and Israel. Israel was invited to a FIFA meeting in Bahrain earlier this year, and according to Israel's foreign ministry, the Bahraini king Hamid bin Isa al-Khalifa has already denounced the Arab boycott against Israel and has even confirmed that Bahraini citizens are now free to visit Israel.
Apple has finally released the iPhone 8, but the excitement surrounding it surprisingly hasn't been that big. It's all because the long-awaited iPhone X is set to be released in early November. The premium phone is supposed to be a smash hit, and Israeli technology is reportedly behind some of its coolest features. That's right, Israeli tech is partially responsible for the Face ID, a facial recognition device that will allow users to unlock their new iPhone X's with, surprise, surprise, their faces. It's no wonder everybody's waiting to make their new Apple purchase until the iPhone X is released. The iPhone 8, which was just released on Thursday, has received poor reviews. In fact, it's driven shares of the company to near lows since investors have been worried about how few pre-orders for the device had been made. Well, luckily for the company, there are still a ton of Apple addicts who just wanted to buy the newest product that Apple has to offer.
I get the new iPhone every time, so I'm here in line like I usually am. I love Apple and all their electronics, so I'm really excited.
Even Israelis picked up the iPhone 8, who we personally think should be waiting for the Israeli-influenced iPhone X. This girl has no shame.
I love it. You see, it's new, but I want the newest.
Well, Reuters still estimates that Apple has lost $50 billion in market capital since September 11th, just a day before the iPhone 8 was released. Apple has been reported to have used its Israeli office to develop the hardware for the new phone. The Jewish New Year is over, and now the holiday of Sukkot is right around the corner. That means that thousands of pilgrims will be making the trek to Jerusalem as part of the Mitchabrim organization's 5th annual program. Well, here to tell us more about this beautiful new tradition is Brigadier General Ram Shmueli, the former head of the Israeli Air Force Intelligence and the co-chairman of the Mitchabrim organization. Hey, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Natasha.
All right, so tell us, this is the first time we're having you come in for a non-security related interview. So tell us about this organization, Mitchabrim.
The most important is that even though I flew 6,000 hours on jet airplanes, I know that if you want to be connected to the land of Israel and to Jerusalem, you have to go by foot. So we initiate, my friends and I, we initiate kind of a march to Jerusalem. It's a kind of a new pilgrimage for 2 days. Families from all segments of Israeli society are walking together, and along the way, there are 32 Sukkot, which is Sukkot. So
Sukkot are the temporary dwellings that Jews like to put up for the holiday of Sukkot.
Okay, so they welcome, there are Sukkot of Orthodox, Sukkot of Ultra-Orthodox, Sukkot of Ethiopian Jews, Sukkot of Russian Jews, Sukkot of Druze, Sukkot of all segments of Israeli society and the Jewish people. And this year, we are wanted to invite American Jewry that are coming to Israel anyway. We want to invite you to march with us to Jerusalem.
Very interesting. So where does it begin, the entire trek?
So all the information are in the website that we put on the screen, and there is a number so you can call and ask some questions if I want to come with my family, with my group, and so on. So it starts in Khir Betzadim, which is very nearby Jerusalem.
Okay.
The first day you march in the mountain of Jerusalem, and the second day you march in Jerusalem. I highly recommend to come on the first day, 9th of October, and there will be march inviting Sukkot to host other people, and then at the end of the march there is a kind of a ceremony, and there is round tables when Jews from diaspora and Jews from Israel have round tables speaking in English, discuss our mutual future. So if we hear in the news about the Wailing Wall and the dispute about the Wailing Wall, this is the place that we are going to meet and discuss real issues. We are not going to fight.
Now, this is the 5th year that you have been doing this trek. Now, how many people usually participate?
This year we are going to have 25,000.
25,000,
yes,
wow.
Out of them, 3,000 soldiers, youth movement, families from all over Israel. So it's a good opportunity for us to host the American Jews that are coming to Israel anyway in Sukkot. They come to the Jerusalem area anyway.
And like you said, I mean, because this is essentially Jews from so many different sectors, it really provides an outlet for people to talk about some of the issues that matter to them that are happening in this country,
Absolutely.
Right? As they're celebrating.
We are going to dance together, and it is very easy. Just type the website, see there is in English how you can register it.
Okay.
You just come with your family and march. No, nothing happened. Just enjoy yourself, and we supply and produce everything around you.
Beautiful. So I guess my last question for you was to tell us about one of your favorite moments during one of the last 5 treks.
3 years ago, we emphasized the issue of the Ethiopian Jews' stories.
Okay.
And we asked them in their own Sukkot to speak and tell us how they marched 600 kilometers from Ethiopia to Sudan on the way to Jerusalem, because they dreamed for 2,500 years how to come to Jerusalem. And now we fulfill our dream, but this time not by themselves, all the Jewish people going together to Jerusalem.
Right, so this is in many senses just a smaller picture of some of the larger treks and the larger journeys that Jews have gone on to come to this country, right? All right, well, this is very, very exciting. I have the website here. Visit www.mitchabrim.org.il. You guys can see it on the screen as well, and join in on the fun, right?
And are you going to come?
I'm going to definitely try to make it if I'm not working, my friend, so
Good.
Maybe you'll see me. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
A very special jewelry brand in Israel is doing a lot more than just making you look good. ILTV's Gal Gadot has a scoop on how the Ivel luxury brand is helping hundreds of immigrants across the Holy Land.
For the past 30 years, Israel has been home to one of the most luxurious jewelry brands in the world, Ivel. The employees themselves come from over 23 different countries, making 90% of them immigrants. The founders Isaac and Ona Levy decided to open up the Mejumaria school to help Israeli-Ethiopian immigrants learn the craft of goldsmithing in order to open up more job opportunities with better pay.
Ivel understood the problem of the Ethiopian immigration. It's having a real job, not cleaning or guarding and those kind of things. Something they can be proud of, and that's exactly what's happening around here. It's a social enterprise for the Ethiopians, and I'm very proud to be part of it.
The students are on a full scholarship funded by Ivel and even get a stipend for their rent, bills, and food for the month. So what does the word Mejumaria mean?
Mejumaria means Genesis in Amharic, the Ethiopian language, Bereshit. So it's a new beginning for all of us.
In order to make the designs more affordable, the Mejumaria school uses silver and gold plated in order for everyone to be able to purchase.
Every year we have about 21 students because it's a matter of, it's not just the training, it's also the materials and the physical training here in the studio. So when they're done with their studies, they have a chance to work here or in Ivel, the mother company, or outside. There's a lot of stores. We have a goldsmith who's working for them. But the bottom line is they have a real training, a serious training and diploma and everything. It's the first time that we come in terms of power and business and not asking for donations or anything like that. And that's what makes this place so
special.
Exactly. Now we're entering to the display of the student work coming from Mejumaria school. And I think there's about 3 categories when it comes to their work. You have the students who are connected to their roots, like Ethiopia and our culture. So you're gonna see items with words in Amharic like love, friendship, things you can wish someone. And the second group, I think, are the religious. Those who are connected to the religious side. You're gonna see things like Women of Valor or Oh Hear Israel, Shema Yisrael. And that's really Ana Bekoach, really cool stuff. And the third group is just the artists. Just beautiful things like Star of David. These people used to be cleaning ladies in government offices around Jerusalem and stuff like that. People who never got a chance in other places, and here they're getting a real trade with diploma and everything, and when they're done with their training, they have a real job and a good one.
As if Israelis weren't excited enough about Israeli actress Gal Gadot becoming the world's new Wonder Woman, she's back again with even better news. That's right, our Israeli superwoman will officially be hosting Saturday Night Live next month. Gadot will be starring in the 43rd season of SNL, which starts on September 30th. Make sure to mark down October 7th in your calendar, because that's when the Israeli actress will be taking center stage on the show. This will be the first time she's hosted the late-night program, and her episode will even be featuring the British singer Sam Smith as its musical guest. We can't wait. In case you've been living under a rock, Gadot was selected to host Saturday Night Live after she starred as Wonder Woman in the box office hit this summer. She's already signed up to star in a sequel, and if you just can't wait until that comes out, make sure to catch Justice League, which will be hitting theaters in November. Gadot will be starring as Wonder Woman yet again.
Enroll in eTeacher's online Hebrew courses and quickly discover that it creates the deepest connection to Israel that you could ever imagine.
And now for our Hebrew word of the day. The Jewish holiday of Sukkot is just around the corner, and you may not know it, but it's actually customary to invite guests into your temporary dwelling or sukkah to stay with you for the duration of the holiday. So today's word is oreach, which means guest. Now, there's actually a specific word to describe olchim, or guests who come over during Sukkot, and that word is ushpizin, which incidentally is also the name of a great Israeli film where the main characters host some olchim, polchim, or vagrants. But ushpizin and vagrants aren't the only types of olchim you might host. Your oreach, or guest, could be family, a friend, friends of friends, or even just some complete strangers. The types of olchim you host It's really just dependent on your chachnasat ochim, or hospitality. Just remember to be kind, courteous, warm, and welcoming this holiday season, regardless of who your oleach might be. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be clear to partly cloudy with a low of 71 or 22 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow you can expect a slight rise in temperatures to a high of 83 or 28 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.49 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for watching.